have no microphone. So, hey.
Technology. Gotta love technology. You know what? I'm coming back out. I'm gonna go back in. See you in a second, guys. There we go.
I hear you.
There we go. We're good.
Do you hear me?
I can hear you guys just fine.
Ay, ay, ay. Joe, I know that you're saying we got to be on Zoom. I'm going to say this for the 1,000th time. Restream hates our guts. Just hates our guts. Clearly, through and through, it just shouldn't be this hard. But good morning, everybody. I'm so sorry I had a whole song ready for us and all. Forget it. It's over. Lost the momentum. Forget it. I am joined, though, by my buddy. Jackie is on an airplane at this exact moment, probably cursing her head off. And actually, Jess makes a really good point before I introduce you. Jess, Josh could hear himself but couldn't hear me. But that actually may not have been the case. It may be because of the Android that he's working off of. So I may have been stressing.
I've had enough about your prejudice of Android users. You know what? This thing was just fine. It had nothing to do with being on Restream. You anti-droid audience members, y'all can just take it and put it where you want it because it ain't it.
Good morning, everybody. Josh Rock is with us. What's up, buddy? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. Thanks for having me. It's fun to sit here and have an extremely caffeinated, I guess you could say, conversation on a Thursday morning. Let's do this.
How are you doing with your what do you got mug-wise for us this morning? What are you drinking out
of? Mug-wise, we're going to give a shout out to my Sherm blogger friends, as you and I are buddies on that. Yes. But what's in it? It's going to be Mountain Dew because I don't drink coffee.
Nice. I'm on the road, as you can tell. I've got my Bamboo. Thank you so much to Bamboo HR for the goodies. Lots of good stuff actually coming with Bamboo HR from a technology standpoint. More on that, I'm sure, to come at HR Tech and some other things. So appreciate you, Bamboo. Thanks so much. I am on the road. I am in Palm City, Florida. I don't know why I'm here, but I am in Palm City, Florida. Apparently, I have an appointment right after But First Coffee. And so in order for me to make everything work, I am in a parking lot by Starbucks, whose Wi-Fi is no help to me whatsoever. And here we are.
Technology, you gotta love it. I mean, I actually, I work from home, but here I don't have that in my living room at home. I actually went in just for you.
I was going to say,
signal, great environment. I was going to go with a pumpkin spiced background. Apparently, I didn't plan on that.
I'm going to tell you, by the way, just so you know, on this platform, you may have to go into your settings and mirror your image because all the letters are backwards. So just so you know, if you want to give Nuss some love, you can mirror your background so everybody can read it. But we know about your career at Nuss. Yeah. Hey, before we jump into some of the topic stuff, I do want to catch up with you and for the sake of everybody else. And can you speak a little bit about A couple of things. Job Hunt Chat, where your world tour is right now and what it is that you're looking for. And honestly, I also want one of the current events that I want to make sure we touch on. We're going to talk about talent and tech, of course, but Google released some people, and
Shocking that happens.
and obviously heavy hitting on the recruiting side of things, and in terms of those numbers and who was affected, and would love your, with what you are doing currently, like what are you seeing and how that aligns with what the media says about recruitment right now.
Yeah. Well, let's go through that laundry list that you just ran through.
I
One,
know.
Job Hunt Chat. I've been doing Job Hunt Chat over on the X, formerly known as Twitter, for over 13 years. We haven't been doing it lately just because the platform, I'm just going to lay it out there, it sucks. X isn't what it used to be. It's hard to follow. You put stuff out there, and next thing you're getting all these Russian bots and all this, that, and the other. I just don't need it. So I'm actually working on finding a new format for it. I'm incessantly pinging the people on threads over on the Instagram to make hashtags searchable so we could have conversations over there.
We're not there yet. We're
No.
not there yet.
I'm going to continue to, ping them, direct message anybody who I see that's a developer at Instagram, say, hey, let's get threads going with hashtag availability so we can make it a new platform for conversations like this. So that's that. As for what am I doing regularly? I'm hitting into job fair season, much like a lot of our HR friends that are here on the conversation. It is career fair season. It is HR conference season. It's HR tech user conference.
Yes.
HR tech. We're busy. I'm going to be heading to Canada for a couple of days, and then going to Chicago.
Why are you going to Canada for a couple of days?
I think one of our attendees here in the conversation, she lives in Canada.
Oh. So, ladies, if you are on and you are in Canada, as many as that are on with us this morning, he's coming to see you.
I am. Let's go meet at a Tim Hortons near you.
We're going to be as general as possible. So, all women in Canada, please fear for your lives. He's coming. He's coming.
No, I'm gonna go do that. Get some time in with some people close to me, and then go to Chicago for a career fair. And then much like your schedule, it's event after event after event. I mean, it's Ceridian's user conference, it's HR Tech, it's career fair. Yeah.
I just got asked yesterday about Success Connect, and please, John, come. And I'm like, literally, it's the week before HR Tech in Vegas. I'm like, if I can't do 2 weeks in Vegas, like someone will die. It might be me, or someone else. 2 weeks in Vegas, woo, that's a long time.
So I think Jessica Chung actually has to do 2 weeks in Vegas. She's got Ceridian Insights and then HR Tech back-to-back weeks.
Yay.
I feel bad for her. I don't know if she can survive.
Connect is like the third to the 6th or something like that, 4th to the 6th. It's a couple days, but then Monday you're hitting right back with HR Tech, and that's just a long time in Vegas. So I'm like, no, I'm doing HR Tech. I will be for those who are following my world travels next week, I'll be in speaking at Ohio SHRM. For those people that are going to that state conference at the Kalahari Resort, I will be on an inner tube speaking from the pool, so come to my session. Speedo optional, and then I'll be at HR Tech. I'm speaking at SHRM Inclusion as well, covering all the pre-conference there. Jackie and I will be kicking off TalentNet at the beginning of November in Dallas. I mean, I'm booked so far through February with speaking stuff going on. So it's a good season, but here's the thing though, is it a good season just to attend conferences and deliver content, which I love doing, and I know you do as well.
Yeah.
But you're going to a bunch of job fairs as part of your travel, and so I'm curious, like, are people coming to job fairs? Is it like sparsely attended? Because we don't need people, right?
What?
I don't know.
What is this? We don't need people.
I mean,
John.
when you get rid of all the recruiters, like they're saying we don't have business. We don't have a need for recruiters.
Whoever says they don't need recruiters needs to take a leap off a tall building somewhere. because you know what? Without recruiters, without TA, without HR as a whole, none of you function. And if you do function, you function poorly. Let's just lay it out. Yes, career fairs are busy. Your general like community-based ones where every employer comes in, those aren't as busy.
They're not.
The
Okay.
college career fairs, which happen in the fall and the spring, they're going to be busy. The schools push the students through. I don't always go to hire today. What I do is when I go to a career fair, I'm planting a seed about how to land a job with a company.
Yes.
It's more career coaching, more advisement. And then through that, they see the value of who we are, whether I'm working for us or whether it was Fairview before that, and then get them to come join us when it gets closer to graduation season. I
So
want to help them develop.
tell me about the. I'm like oh, the glare on this was brutal. So this is much better. I just figured out how to do something. Okay.
There's this thing about living in the. Why don't you live in the Midwest? We don't have sun.
You
So
have
you don't
no
have glare in your
sunshine.
car.
You have no sunshine. This is true. Tell me about this preparing for the future, right? Because that's not a very the ROI on preparing people for the future. It's a really hard sell to a company who's spending money today. How do you win somebody over with that kind of? I would think that's really tough.
It is. I mean, I know when I go to Lima, Ohio, i.e., middle of October here, while you guys are all at HR Tech, these students still have 8 to 9 months before they graduate, and so I can go other. I can't hire them today. It's not going to work. It doesn't bear fruit for me. So, but what I can do is I can, brand my organization and become a trusted advisor to these young adults, and then lure them our way over time. I'm going to be there 2 or 3 more times before they graduate anyway. So what I do is I have them approach. I ask them what they're finding at the career fair. I have them show me their resume. I critique their resume. I talk to them about what they're looking for pay-wise. What are they looking for in their career next steps? And then start to layer in pieces about what we do. After I leave, we do things like a mechanics assessment. I introduce them to leaders. So it's a slow sale versus what we normally want at a career fair, which is an instantaneous sale. Hey, come apply for me today. Let's interview now and let's get you started in a week.
And but isn't that, and I'd love to hear from those of you who are on with us, by the way, and let me make it as an aside right now. I'm unable at the moment to share any of your comments onto the screen. Why? Because, Joe, I know what you're going to say, because there's technical issues. But I do want to, Wendy, thank you so much for saying that the Midwest needs me. I love you and appreciate that. But I will say, coming back to what you're bringing up, I'm finding it difficult from a recruiting standpoint, to find companies that are willing to sort of play the long game when we're in a pseudo recessionary environment. They're very much like, look, dude, if I don't need anybody today, that kind of spend I'm pulling back on. I'm not sending people to career fairs for 9 months down the road. I'm not sending people to conferences. I'm hearing from people who always came to certain conferences who were saying, hey, don't expect me next year. They're pulling back on my budget on some things, right? So when you say you're able to kind of speak to the long game, right, for NUS, right, that's a great example. What is it about their willingness that you think is different than some other companies?
Here we're looking for grade A players. When you're in diesel, our customers expect a certain level of quality in what we deliver to them. You don't drive around the state of Minnesota or Wisconsin and see a billboard that says, hey, come buy your truck or get your truck fixed here. We just don't do it. It's primarily about, that brand awareness, that, notoriety of what we do. And so if I go to a career fair with just the goal of hiring 50 technicians, they're not all going to be A players. Just not going to happen. They have to be cultivated over time. And so my leaders here understand that this is how we process, this is how we garner talent, and they're willing to play the long game, which is great. I mean, the average tenure of a technician here is 10 to 15 years.
Yeah,
Our
say that again.
competitor is 3 to 5.
Yeah, say that again, because that's that's really the big piece, right? Like you're talking about 5 times
Yeah,
tenure compared to your competition. That's huge.
it is huge. And so cultivating, talk to any farmer. Cultivating takes time. It's not an instantaneous gratification, and so we're going with that same mindset here. We're growing well. I mean, the last 2 years we've had record hiring, both in general, but also in our diesel technicians. So this is a fantastic format for us. Does
Are
it
you
always give them what
are
they
you
want right away? No.
No, and so let me ask you a couple things though too, because I love this conversation. By the way, everybody, I know like we need to touch in a little bit on this inclusion and diversity piece as well, because I think that is, I think it's getting lost in the shuffle a bit in terms of what's happening right now. And so I'm curious, let's talk about job fairs for a second.
Sure.
Are you seeing and hearing from diverse backgrounds? And obviously, I know people. We can talk about visible diversity. You can say yes. We're having a Black audience, an Asian audience, persons of color, and it's generally Hispanic. You can speak to that perhaps through some visual cues, but I'm including that when I say, and broadly as well, like veterans and levels of socioeconomic differences. What's happening there that you're seeing?
Well, I love the fact that you hit on the veterans thread, John. Veteran hiring and retention is big for me, and big for our organization.
Yeah.
Just to toot our horn for a second, NUS is the only truck dealership in the United States to be recognized for our veteran hiring and retention by the U.S. Department of Labor.
Awesome.
We are a 2-time platinum award winner, 2-time gold medal award winner as well, and so it is big for us. Over 40. What was it? 11% of our staff is either active or retired military. That's big for us.
That's huge.
Yeah. So we do look for that. We actually go to events specifically targeting veteran opportunities. Same thing when it comes to the other diversity areas for us. Going to other portions of the country. Also, obviously in Minnesota, we have nice diverse pockets around the state. And so we look for events that will target that. We'll actually visit their high schools, we'll visit their colleges, and look and kind of promote programs that will increase diverse populations into our technical practice.
Yeah.
Because they just don't do it. We don't see a ton of Somali or Hmong students in the diesel programs. We know they're big population pockets here in the state of Minnesota. So we want to see more of them coming into our trade. And so we'll go out and we'll speak to them about here's what kind of fruitful careers can happen because of it.
So so I want to share like from a tech standpoint, right? So, and Joe, Joe mentioned travel freezes are happening all over tech now, almost all year long too. And he's seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. We're seeing this happen. Wendy Daly, good morning. Love that you're here.
Hi, Wendy. I'm waving in your general direction, Wendy.
Wendy shared that, that your company is doing it right because it takes time to find the right people. And when you say you're not hiring right now, right, it's wrong. Regardless of your organization, you should always be looking, right? Someone's calling me. I can't take it.
Maybe it's that appointment you're heading to. I don't know.
I mean, it's somebody calling to sell me. The sales calls, by the way, the Autobot sales calls, through the roof. I don't know if anybody else is experiencing that, but like through the roof. Everybody and their mother wants to sell me something. And John, this is a great time for you to like add this to your portfolio of offerings. And listen, it's crazy for me. But
so if the Autobots are calling you, when do we get the Decepticons to do it instead?
Just
asking for a friend.
My gosh. We need some other people on this call if we're going to get into like,
pop culture references, sure.
GoBots and all that crap. But for me, I'm finding it difficult on a technology standpoint that we even have companies that aren't coming to HR Tech. They're not even coming to premier events. And I mean premier in the sense of like, if you're shopping for technology, you're apt to go to a technology conference, right? I mean, like that just kind of makes sense. But we're seeing companies that are opting not to go to a technology conference, not even have representation, let alone a booth and all that good stuff, because of some of these cuts. And so I wonder, like, if you're really wanting to infiltrate talent and you're a technology platform, how do you think that's going to happen if you're not where the people are, right? Like if you're not going to them and trying to put forward how your solution can really help. And if economics is part of it, I think companies have to get a lot smarter about the messaging around economics and maybe even do some price breaks temporarily in order to get people in the door and have some activity going, because I still believe that, if your implementation is down, we're coming into fourth quarter. So you've got January 1st starts on various technologies that sometimes HR goes after, payroll, HR management systems, things like that. If you're not where the people are, I don't know what the rest of the year is going to look like for you, because for a lot of companies like that, 60 to 70% of your annual revenue is coming in first quarter because of the changeover. So what are you going to do, right? How are you going to keep your talent engaged?
We know what they're going to do. They're going to email us incessantly about a $150 gift card to do a demo of their software. That's why they're not going to conferences. I mean, come on. How many $10 Amazon gift cards? How many, come on.
I don't want it. I don't want it. Stop with the gift cards. Stop.
I don't mind a gift card from time to time, but
send it to me. Don't make me sit through your demo for 2 hours. I have seen ADP. Stop. Don't send. I mean, just send me the gift card.
There was this poor young man from Rippling who emailed me just last week, and he had this intro about what my team suffers from with using different technology platforms, and I should do a demo. And I replied back to him in the same contextual format that he sent me, saying, you may want to go back and listen to my Chad and Cheese podcast that just rolled out last week about how to engage HR professionals via email.
Yeah.
At no point did he ask me about what my problem was. He implied he knew what my problem was and that his software was it. Come on, man.
Yeah. Listen, and that's not capturing, and I love Janetta, or hopefully I'm saying that correctly, and comment in the chat as well, because I have to say to you, and I think Jackie and I talked about this last couple of weeks. We're going to see what the numbers are by the end of the year, but the expectation coming into this year was that we would have somewhere around 4 million 70 plus coming back into the workforce.
Yeah.
Because of retirement fund, right, not doing well, and some other issues, cost of living, just with inflation, I don't know if this would be surprising to anyone, but Social Security not being enough to live off of, with the inflation the way that it is. I mean, y'all go to the grocery store. And so if you are bringing 70 plus year olds back into the workforce, I want to tell you something. They are looking for the job fairs. They're looking to come in, in a business suit with a resume in hand, because that's where they come from. And so if you continue to just do the Indeed thing and think that is the only way you're going to find people, I had 2 conversations this week already about post and pray on Indeed and how it's not working for some companies. And I was like, right. Like, so you do need to be thoughtful around the population, especially from an inclusion perspective. I want the 72-year-old who has this like wealth of knowledge in their brain. I don't want technology to hold them up from us finding them and have that talent be a part of what we're doing, even if it's part-time, even if it's contractual, right? Some sort of 1099 consulting type relationship that you want to do for a bit with them to get things out of their head into your teams. Like, how are you finding those opportunities? We absolutely need to find those opportunities.
John, one of the greatest things that I did in my previous organization at Fairview was when somebody retired, I promoted processing their retirement, letting a month or 2 go by, and then rehiring them as a casual.
Yeah.
Because that knowledge doesn't go anywhere. The knowledge is still there. The practice is still there. They may not want to work all the time, and that's fine. So pay them when they do. There isn't a cap on how many employees an organization can have.
Right.
It's a cost management perspective. So let's call them in when we need them, when talent's waning, or when there's a project or an area that we need expertise in that this person already has. I just had a guy from our organization change industries. He was leaving our practice to open up his own business. And I said, why don't I hire you back as a casual? So that way, if something happens along the way and you're available, you come in and work.
Yeah.
You can still run your business. You can still do your new venture and succeed. But guess what? If we need you and you have availability, come back into the family.
I wonder, and I'm going to ask anecdotally. I appreciate that this is anecdotal. I'm going to say it once more. I appreciate that what I'm going to ask for is anecdotal because I don't want nobody at me. I'm curious, the people that are here that are listening live for right now, and if you listen later, by the way, shout out to all of the post live watchers of But First Coffee. Jackie and I see how many people watch this after the fact, and we're just like super touched by the support. So thank you. But for those of you that are here live right now, if anecdotally you were to give a percentage, let's say over the last 8 months or so, 8-9 months that of hiring that you've done, or contractual relationships if you've got a one-off that you're doing, how many of those would you say I'm going to give you are, let's say age to start with, right? 60 years of age or older that have been brought into the organization, or even rebrought, Josh, to your point, like rebrought into the organization. If you were to guess about how many fit that bucket, what would that percentage be of total hiring? So I'm going to make math simple because I know people complain about HR and math. If you hired 100 people this year and you would guess that 20 of them were 60 plus, I'm not asking you, don't look up all their ages, just anecdotally, then that would be 20%. 20 out of the 100, right? So that's what I'm looking for. If you've got a percentage that you feel like you could throw in, maybe it's 2%, maybe it's 2 out of the 100, right? That's really all it's been. Everybody that we're hiring is entry level. And so most of those are leaning towards younger in age. But your ability to kind of be thoughtful about this, and thank you, Jamie. I know you're creeping behind the scenes, and because the chat's not working for us to share with everybody. Thank you, buddy, for putting this up on here. It's important for us to sort of track some of this. Again, I'm not asking you over the top, but you should probably have a sense of it, right? Like here's 2 to 5%. Like I'm not surprised by those percentages. I think that's
I'm over 10% of my hires this year are over the age of 60. There's actually one downstairs from me right now who's 65. It's my dad. I hired my dad to join us here at NUS.
I mean, you can't say that though. That's nepotism. So you probably shouldn't share that.
I can do that. That's fine. We're a family company. I work for NUS.
We're a family company. So I hired all my family to work.
His 2 sons are executive vice presidents of the organization. One of their daughters is my HR coordinator. We brought her in to aid in our HR efforts.
Nice.
I'm growing her to be a recruiter. Why not?
Yes. I mean, I think the idea of, I'm teasing you, right? Like that's cool. But the idea of us looking to, I think it needs to be a bucket just like anything else we look at when we think about distributed workforces that are representative of various backgrounds, ethnically, racially, socioeconomic, educationally, age, gender, all of these buckets of people. It's not about diversity alone in terms of counting how many we have. That can't be the goal because we know turnover is going to happen pretty quickly within 6 months if that's all you're hiring for. But we need to be a lot more thoughtful because you're going to leave people in the dust with the kind of pseudo recession that's going on right now and the way it's impacting recruitment. We're going to wind up leaving groups of people in the dust. I'm not here saying it's intentional. But unintentional doesn't make it any less impactful, right? Like, yeah. What are you laughing at?
I'm laughing at Jessica over here saying, growing recruiters, don't forget to water her. Come on.
I mean, what is that? What is that? That's like a bad Hallmark card.
Yeah.
That's a bad Hallmark card.
Joe over here talking about, the comment I made about there's no limit on how many employees. I see so many leaders talking about how many FTEs, their head count. Casuals don't count towards your FTEs. They're 0.01 on the FTE scale. Shut up already.
Shut up already.
You can
I'm
have as many
talking
casual
about.
employees as you need to get the business done. Done.
That was very. I mean, I'm really going to throw that accent was almost 1980s Joe Piscopo, Frank Sinatra impersonation.
Forget
Steve
about it.
Edie.
Forget
I
about it.
got chunks of guys like you in my stool. Yeah, I mean, it was very like, oh, good old Piscopo. Um, I I do want to make sure that we touch on some technology things. So if you don't
Let's
mind,
go.
what's the tech stack that you use a recruiting on the recruiting side of things? Yeah, thank you for laughing. What's the tech stack that you use?
Really?
Yeah, really.
All right. So some of you already know this about me. I was brought into NUS and they use Ceridian Dayforce.
Yeah.
Ceridian, good technology for certain companies. I am not a happy camper when it comes to my ATS.
And you've
There are
not
some things that are
hidden that.
lacking,
I just want to
and
make
they
sure.
know it.
I want to make sure the audience knows that. Like, you're not, outing them right now. They have already had these conversations with
Yeah.
you.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm on 4 product councils within Ceridian Dayforce to help improve their product. I do it because I'm passionate about it, not because I'm unhappy. I want to make HR technology better as a practitioner, also as a side HR consultant. That's my side hustle. And so I'm working to make it better. On top of that, where it's deficient, I have put things into place. I use Emissary as my SMS tool of choice because Ceridian didn't have it until recently.
Yeah.
I just implemented Job Pixel. We're actually working on that right now, shooting new videos to overlay over our job postings. Omar connected with me after my appearance on the Chad and Cheese podcast from Sherm. And we talked about how practitioners and vendors engage. And he's like, why don't we partner up? So that's what we're doing. We're talking. And I'm giving him ideas as to help them connect with practitioners. And I'm now using his platform. I'm excited to see what that does for diesel mechanics and those in the transportation industry by showcasing what they get to do here in our organization. So yeah, those are my primary. Obviously, I could go on and on about the advertising mediums that I use, Indeed, Spotify. That would take forever. But those are my 3 primary tools.
So and again, I love that you're talking about the fact that it's more than one, right? That there's more than one sort of piece to this tech stack. The other thing that I think is important for people to be thoughtful about is how robust it makes sense to be, right? Like, so I think sometimes some companies, and I know this will upset some people, I think sometimes we are so bells and whistles oriented that we wind up just sort of subscribing to a bunch of different tools because we want all the things. And quite frankly, you don't use all the things correctly. Number one, you don't use it, maybe even worse, you don't use it consistently. And then thirdly, it may be just over the top. You just may have way too much going on for the population you're trying to serve.
Yeah.
And so, like, what makes sense for you? We know right now, I don't think I'm saying anything that, I mean, that it seems like the research to me has been shared a few times so far this year, but we're over 60%. Some surveys say over 65%, but we're over 60% looking at all jobs, not just certain levels of job, but just all jobs this year being filled passively, not actively, being filled by people going after people rather than just waiting for someone to apply, right? So if that's the case and your technology that you're using is all active oriented, right? It's integrating to post to Indeed and post to ZipRecruiter and post to this or that or whatever it is that serving you well? Now, your industry might be that way. If you're a restaurant, maybe that is working for you. But if you're a tech company, maybe not.
John, have you gone to a restaurant? Have you been to a restaurant that doesn't have a sign that says now hiring?
I mean,
their active tools aren't doing it.
No.
Their passive tools aren't doing it.
Yeah. There's a cool one out there called Hey Hire. that I have been doing some research on and talked to the founders. Those of you who may have been at Unleash with me, they were there, and they're cool, right? If you're in the hospitality industry, restaurant specific, I'd look at Hey Hire as an option because it's meant for that industry, right? So if you're not being, do you get a bigger bang for your buck being technologically specific for an industry rather than generally like an Indeed? And I'm not knocking Indeed per se, but can you measure that? You ought to be able to do both, at least in your tech stack, at least for a pilot program for 6 months to say what's effective here. And by the way, 6 months is no magic, but which 6 months, right? If it's January, most restaurants aren't really hiring in January. It's after the holidays. It's, this business slows down, not as many parties, that kind of stuff. Like, be thoughtful around the testing timeline so that you really get effective results. But we have to look at tech support like job boards as a part of our tech stack and measure the effectiveness there as well.
Wait, did you just say? Did you say sourcing or reporting? What?
Reporting. Who's running reports? Reports. Indeed doesn't give you a report.
Source tracking? Wait, source tracking. That source tracking would be amazing, because those who know me know that my ATS of choice does not source track.
Yeah.
The data ends at the wall, at the firewall.
And that's unfortunate.
It is. It is. My hopes is that at some point it'll be integrated. I mean, their trusted provider or partner, eQuest, knows that their data from the job boards does not penetrate the firewall.
Let me tell you something. And Daniel, thank you so much. Daniel popped up there. It's not hard to apply. It's the talent. So here's what I want to thank you for that comment. Here's what I want to say. Maybe. That's my response to that. Maybe because, so some of you know that my oldest, Frankie's 24, good looking, ruddy young man.
He has hair, unlike his dad.
He has lots of like curly hair on top of his head. Pop him in the jaw. But the idea of him being someone who's actively in the workforce, early on, yes, he's finishing his MBA, awesome, but he's applying for some full-time roles right now. And I got to tell you, there are still links that are taking him to apply for a job that are not that great. He'll upload his resume and then still has to type everything into blocks.
You want me to upload and then you still don't resume parse? Please,
yes.
Come on.
Yes.
Come on.
So I say that, Daniel, just in response to say sometimes it isn't the talent. Sometimes it is hard to apply and frustrating. You got those of you who haven't applied for a job at your company in a while, do it. Those of you who need outside support, honestly, call Humoriso. Like, Robin Schooling will take your entire talent strategy to task and pretend to be people. And she's like secret shopper, applicant. It's amazing. It's amazing. We're tracking with some companies zero, even automated, zero response to application.
Yeah.
And she's making crap up, right? Like she's qualified for the job because she's making up a resume. Zero, not even thank you for your application. Nothing. Weeks. Nothing. Well, that's not talent. That's your process.
When I jumped in here, I saw a huge departure in the number of impressions we were getting on our postings, the number of applications, like huge, 90% plus. And I'm like, what's going on? Why aren't candidates completing an application? And so I went through the process and implemented shortcuts. One of the things that I implemented is I did a short form on our website, so they don't have to go through the full legal application.
Yes.
I did the same thing with a short apply via Emissary. We did one with text, where it takes them through basically a chatbot Q&A, so I get to know a little bit more about them before they do an application, because they didn't want to go through the legal application. They don't want to create a username and a password and all that jazz.
Yes.
And so we did this to at least get intel. Who are they? What's their name and number? What kind of position are they interested in? And then we call them back. It's easier. So if you're not willing to change your technology, because of
Mm-hmm.
contracts or leadership approvals, this, that, and the other, then find shortcuts. It's not that tough. Call me and I'll tell you how to do it.
And listen, we all know that depending on where some companies are, there are some compliance pieces to applying for a job that you have to be thoughtful of. We know, so I know everything can't work everywhere, but it probably doesn't need to be as cumbersome as some are. I don't know who the LinkedIn user is because once again, I can't tell everything on this platform because it
Really?
hates me. But the LinkedIn user who said, and I don't know who that is. So out yourself if you don't mind. But it said you wrote, I just asked my entire company to try out my general application here and provide feedback. It's so important. Recruiting is a team sport.
Amen.
Honest. Preach, preach, preach. I love that you've already asked your company to do that. They're going to be shocked. And I'm also going to tell you, it may surprise you in the hiring manager responses if that's sort of like your gate. Hi, Rachel. I thought
Hey,
it might be
Rachel.
you, but I don't want to. I don't want to assume. But Rachel's right, like because it may shock you to see a hiring manager that you think is aces, and you're like, dude, this application you've had for 2 weeks, like you didn't even. They're totally qualified. How did you not even reach out at all yet? Oh, I'm so busy, that kind of stuff. Busy is give me a break about busy. Just give me a break.
Yeah.
Right? We're all busy. I know. I know. I'm not poo-pooing your existence. We're all busy. I get it. But if you're hiring, you gotta make the right time for it because that talent is still not hanging out and just desperate for you to call them. They're getting contacted by other folks. I just shared about Frankie. He's already had interviews from companies that jumped right on, not those that he really honestly jobs that he thinks he wants more. It's taking forever, and we'll get back to you. We're totally interested, but we'll let you know. Look, if you're not ready to hire, don't fool around. Or if you're not at least going to be honest to say we're not ready to hire right now, we're hiring for the future. Can we still talk? Because
Yeah.
I'd like to kind of get you into our system and kind of identify the skill sets, your areas of interest, so that when something opens, we know we've got somebody real viable that we would want to reach out to. That's okay to do, but
Yeah.
just be honest about it,
It's
right?
pipeline building, right?
Yes.
Who does? I mean, if you're not pipeline building for your future, guess what? Others are. I do it all the time.
100%. 100%. And it's interesting because, like Frankie, as an example, he wants a business analyst job. By the way, Jess, if you're still on here, like you need to call Frankie. But like he wants a business analyst job and with his MBA, and I'm like, do it, buddy.
Yeah.
Like, just go for broke. And I have to tell you, he doesn't bat an eye. Like so many other people, they're like, I am going for broke. I'm going to apply for all these jobs that I honestly think I can do, but the barrier to entry isn't really willingness. It's the sourcer, recruiter, hiring manager on the other end who is just ineffective in leveraging the technology to your benefit, to help you be consistent in communication, to help you be consistent in follow-up. Like, leverage that technology. It's there for you. Don't be afraid of it. It's so, yeah, Jess, listen, I'll have them call you, don't you worry.
Yeah.
Like, it's it's there for you to use. And I just get saddened, quite frankly, because companies are spending a whole lot of money on software for hiring managers and recruiters not to use effectively.
So let's stay there for a second. We're talking about tech stack, and I recently saw a HR person post in a job or a group chat
Oh,
about how do they save money in their organization so they don't have to lay people off. And one of the things I said, look at your freaking tech stack, because my assumption is that she's probably knee deep in a software that she probably doesn't need. Oh, lights went out. Great, there we go.
ooh,
You
that
know,
was kind of actually that was very
energy
like
savings. They
that
didn't
was
see me moving around. I need to move around
really
some more.
interesting. You need to swing your arms and stuff. That was like quick Blair Witch kind of
Yeah,
flip to for a second.
technology. But anyway, I'm like, let's look at your tech stack. Look and see if your ATS provider, your HRS provider, if there's somebody similar but cheaper that is probably more efficient that you could use instead. And she's like, I never thought about that.
I mean, I'm going to
They're
agree
so
with you.
beholden to who they're using and what they were used to and the processes that they don't think, proactively to see what other kind of solutions are out there.
One of the things that really can work well for you, and I have to put my car into reverse and not reverse so that it stays on and doesn't shut off. Um, uh,
Almost like my lights.
I mean, all this energy saving crap. Let me do what I want to do.
Exactly.
The if you're really struggling with technology, I want to give a shout out though to those companies that are really working on a shoestring budget. Always have. Some of your industries have like very, very narrow margins, and so the idea of spend is really constricting. You have a finance team that's like on it, and really won't let you spend money. That's where, in my opinion, conferences like Unleash and HR Tech, and I'm sure there's others, but those two come to mind in particular, where go to the innovation startup kind of areas. Those developers and startups are really desirous of having someone work with them on their product that they're trying to put forward. And the barrier to entry from a cost standpoint really might not be there. They're desperate for utilization so that they can then work on real solution for what's not working. They want to hear from you when you say, hey, this could be better, that could be better. That's worth it for them to give you their software, quite frankly, because you're giving them real feedback that enables them to make it the product better so that they can sell it and have it stick with some clients as well. Don't be shy. You and I both, we've been to HR Tech as an example, and some other people I'm sure who are here with us. I go through that innovation area all the time. Every year, and I've been at HR Tech. I don't even know how many years I've attended this conference, quite frankly. Like it's double digits.
Yeah.
And that is an absolute for me. I'm not leaving until I'm kind of casing that entire innovation area. I sit in on Pitch Fest. Like I want to hear what they're working on. And I know that some of those companies want to work with real companies at a negligible cost because of what they get out of it. Don't forget those companies. Definitely, if you have budget issues.
Yeah. I mean, there's so many things that we can do. I mean, I look at what we spend on HCM on an annual basis. It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I could tech stack a bunch of other smaller pieces and save my organization a ton of money and put it towards active talent acquisition easily.
Let me tell you something. There are companies that are what they're spending for their HCM alone. I might even give you HCM/payroll. I don't mean the cost of labor. I mean the system that you're running payroll through. What you're spending on that is like more than the gross domestic product of Haiti.
Yeah.
I mean, honest, think about that for a second. You're spending more than some countries are taking in. Like, holy crap, what are we doing? That's a lot of money.
And then you tack on add-ons and add-ons and add-ons. I mean,
we call them modules, Josh. We call them modules. It's much less offensive than add-on.
Well, I mean, come on. We've seen the HCM space turn into the Spirit Airlines of HR technology. Come on.
It's like you actually want the performance management to talk to the document management module. That's another, $1.48 per employee, PEPM per employee per month. You're like, what?
You just hit on a thread for me that it bothers me every day.
What, PEPM? I'm always like,
why are we doing cost per employee? The last time I checked, my drivers don't use the recruitment module.
Yeah, never pay PEPM for a recruitment module. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Daniel, that's so funny. There's so many quotables people are putting in the chat. It's cracking me up. It is, and I'm going to tell you, by and large, the core products, even at Humoriso, it's a flat rate. It's a range. We know, for instance, one of the things that we offer is HRO, right? So human resources outsourced, right? And so we don't do a PEPM model. It's a range based on, it's between this number and this number of employees. So you've got some room for fluctuation up and down. We know about how many hours it's going to take a month to support a company of about this size. Here's your flat rate a month. And I literally will have finance departments go, seriously? Yeah, why? What's the matter? We can budget so much easier when we know. And I'm like, yeah, it shouldn't be that hard. They're like, can you just tell everyone in the service and tech space that that's really what we prefer. I don't think it's
PEPM
that.
keeps people from doing casual employees.
Say that again.
PEPM keeps people from hiring casual employees.
And we have all kinds of industries that do temp hiring, all kinds. And why are we like? I'm not saying that there isn't more utilization and therefore costs go up, but I mean per person. I have temp employees that may work just for the summer at a particular location.
Yeah.
I have to tell you something. They're not really getting a lot of bang out of their buck for performance management or learning management, or they're only working there 3 months.
You just got slammed for Hades GDP.
Listen, whoever just put that on there, I'm working with some clients that use Workday, and I want to tell you, it's creeping. I see that number. It's creeping. It's creeping. Like,
oh my,
no disrespect to Workday. Look, get your money. I got you. I hear you. I know what you do. But like the idea of gig workers, of temporary workers, right? To these casual employees that you're talking about, like. Why would that be punishment oriented for modules that they'll really never I'm going to pay for a learning management application to someone who's there 90 days? Why would I do that?
No, I think what we need to do is we as practitioners need to stand up to these providers and say, you know what, come the way we want to do it, or we will find somebody else.
It's Polkowski who's giving me the numbers. I should know that it's him doing the research right now. It's Justin.
He's got the fastest fingers of search ever. Come on, it's Polkowski. Let's go.
That's crazy.
No, we do. I mean, we don't let the technology providers run the roost. Stand up to them and say, hey, you know what? No, I'm not going to pay this format. And if you continue to push it this way on me, I will find another provider and follow up and do it.
And please understand, I want to make sure I say this. I'm not saying you're saying it too, but I want to make sure I do. I respect and understand why for some support services, a PEPM model makes sense. I get that. We're not saying that. We're not like throwing the whole thing out. But I'll give you another, for example. We support the casino industry because why wouldn't we, right? It's
Baldini. Well, I mean, you do have Robin Schooling and human resources.
Between me and Robin, we're like, sitting in the bar, right? We're like, come here. But we support the casino industry, and one of the areas that we support a lot is leave management, right? And so our model for leave management for the casino industry is PEPM, but our PEPM buckets are year plus full and part-time employees. I'm not crushing you because of the temp worker that you hired for 6 months to get you through the busy summer season in Atlantic City, or the winter months in Las Vegas where more vacationers are coming. I'm not going to, because they're never going to be eligible for FMLA. So I'm not managing their leave. Why am I charging you for that? And I have to tell you, that is appreciated so much in that industry, because they're like, other models, they don't care. We pay PEPM for everybody. This is so nice that we're able to exclude those that aren't going to even qualify for this kind of, leave. Yeah. Why wouldn't we be thoughtful that way? I don't understand why we make this tough for business, right? The technology should work for you. The support should work for you.
If not against the growth of your organization. Shocking.
If you're dealing with talent, by the way, that isn't using your technology, here's another fun one for me. I love this. See this hand? Each one of these fingers, well, actually, let me check this hand. Oh, I think it's my other hand. One of my fingerprints is not really working anymore. But, Acid will do that for you. And we have clients that have biometric time clocks, which I love, by the way, because if your index finger is there, there's a good chance the rest of your person's there. I'm good with that, and I appreciate it. But literally, we had a client who is paying a monthly fee for the biometric clock and for time and attendance as a module, and isn't using it, is doing time tracking differently because it just was too hard. And so literally 2 years, they have been paying for the biometric clock rental per month, plus the time and attendance module that's not really functioning at any more than 30% utilization. And I'm like, why are you paying for this? Why are you paying for this? What are you spending money like this for? And they're like, yeah, we're not sure. We just are.
My last job, at Fairview, I had stumbled upon a contract for 20 grand that was never utilized. They never implemented the program. They spent it and never utilized it. And I'm like, you know what I can do advertising wise with 20 grand?
I mean, honest, if you feel like you want to give money away, just send it to Humoriso. I'm happy to accept your cash. Like, just send it.
I'm glad. I'll take it off your hands. I'll go buy myself some season tickets to the Minnesota Wild. I mean, come on.
You remind me of, look, y'all know that I'm still a kid at heart. So I just watched the Electric Mayhem show on Disney Plus. I don't know if anybody has watched Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem. If you don't know who I'm talking about, I'm so sorry for your childhood and most of your existence, but you must get connected, right? To more calls, wanting me to buy stuff. You must get connected to Disney Plus and watch this show. But you make me laugh because the premise of the show, to start with, I'm not giving anything away, is that the Electric Mayhem were paid for an album of original songs like 30 years earlier. They already got the money for this album that they never produced. Wendy, isn't it awesome?
Everybody's loving Electric Mayhem. There we go. I mean,
the show is awesome. It is awesome. I loved it. I love the Muppets. Love the Muppets. Anyway, this record label didn't even remember that they had given the Electric Mayhem all of this money and nothing ever came of it. No album was ever produced. I wonder if it's not worth doing some due diligence with your technology and with your, especially on the stack end of things. How effective are these tools? Is it making sense for you? And if it's not, change the contract or cancel your contracts. Don't renew and start saving the company some money so that you can hire the people you really need to put that money towards something more effective.
Yeah. I reevaluate quarterly. I reevaluate all of my spends quarterly. Am I getting the leverage out of this spend? Am I getting leverage out of this tool, this partnership? And if it's not, I shut it down and I move to something else.
Yes.
I effectively am working for a small business. We're 400 employees. I can't afford to just spend money and not be accountable to the results and or the impact of what we're doing.
Totally.
And my boss is like, you go. You want to pilot a program for 6 months? Go right ahead.
I mean, awesome. Dude, this is like the quickest hour in show business. Thank you so much for being here. This was super fun and informative, and all those peeps who are here, who stuck with us, who, you know, Joe, I'm giving special shout out to you because I know I frustrate you every week with my blasphemy about Restream, though you want to give me Zoom. I know.
And technology.
Wait, who's on that phone? I just saw a picture there. Was that?
That was New Orleans at Sherm, I think. Yeah.
Did I take that picture or did you take that picture?
I think I took that one by the length of the arm shot, the selfie. I think I took this one.
Oh yeah, because if it was my arm, it would be much better.
Yeah.
Josh, thanks, buddy, for being a guest co-host today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me. Anytime. I'm happy to sub in for Jackie. I'll be her relief pitcher anytime you need me.
I appreciate that. She might feel some sort of way after she watches this. If she feels like it went too well, we're both going to hear from her. So just be ready for that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Cheers. Bye, guys.
Bye.